Okay, well, good afternoon, and thanks so much for being here with us today to discuss our preparations as the City of Toronto and our partners for Taylor Swift's Eras Tour, Toronto's version. We're looking forward to filling in the blank space with you. And yes, I will be delivering many song lyrics and titles as part of this presentation, so you better just shake it off. I'd like to thank Deputy Mayor Ausma Malik for joining us today. We have also a number of speakers from the City of Toronto and Toronto Police Service who together we will share details about how we've planned for the Eras Tour and what residents and visitors can expect on concert dates, which begin one fortnight from today. Those dates, as no doubt you know, are Thursday, November 14th to Saturday, November 16th, and the following week, Thursday, November 21st to Saturday, November 23rd. We're also joined by some representatives from other city agencies and corporations, including the TTC, the Toronto Parking Authority, and Exhibition Place, as we know all too well that you may have questions for them at the end of this briefing. So just a bit for the set list for today. First, Deputy Mayor Malik is going to provide the land acknowledgement. As well, she will give a welcome. Then we will hear from Joanna Bevan Desjardins, the Executive Director of Toronto Emergency Management. You might hear us refer to it by the short form as TEM, and she will speak to coordination between the city and our partners in hosting the Eras Tour. After Joanna, we will hear from Barbara Gray, the General Manager of Transportation Services, who will tell us about the city's traffic management plan, as well as information about how to travel to the concerts. Then we'll hear from Deputy Chief Lauren Pogue, who will speak about how the Toronto Police Service is preparing for the concert series. And then finally, we will hear from Pat Tobin, General Manager of Economic Development and Culture, who will speak to some of the fun we'll have in hosting the 6 Eras Tour concerts and the value it brings to our city. So with all of that, I'd like to invite Deputy Mayor Ausma Malik to speak.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much, Beth, for kicking us off with all the lyrics and the song titles. It's going to be a lot of fun. And as was mentioned, I'm Ausma Malik. I'm very proud to be Deputy Mayor and City Councillor for Spadina-Fort York, Ward 10, home of the Rogers Centre and the Taylor Swift concerts in Toronto. And to begin, I would like to acknowledge the land we are on. We are meeting on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabeg, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat people, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. The City of Toronto also recognizes all treaty peoples, including those who came here as settlers, as migrants, either in this generation or in generations past, and those of us who came here involuntarily, particularly those brought to these lands as a result of the transatlantic slave trade and slavery, and we pay tribute to those ancestors of African origin and descent. So welcome again to this briefing on how the City of Toronto and its partners are preparing to host the Taylor Swift Eras Tour. And thanks to city staff and our many partners who have worked so hard on these plans to do all that we can to be ready. And I've been regularly convening a table of city staff across divisions, agencies, and corporations with partners to ensure that we are prepared to welcome people as capably as possible. This includes planning for public safety, ensuring concertgoers and residents can get around, and creating opportunities for Toronto's own local artists and culture makers to shine. And it is incredibly encouraging to see how far we've come over the past several months, and I greatly appreciate all the work that has been done to get us here. Engaging with other major cities on their experiences with the Eras Tour and learning from them closely, dedicated coordination across divisions and agencies to prepare that has been recognized as an excellent example, and working to make sure our city makes the most of this opportunity that's coming to us. And over the last 2 years, I, like many of us, have been in awe of the incredible force of Taylor Swift and this era's tour as she has traveled across the world, and Toronto has been learning closely from those other cities. We've seen the real economic impacts, and we've also seen that laid out more recently in terms of what Toronto can anticipate. And we know that these concerts have a positive impact on some of the hardest hit sectors that are still recovering from the pandemic impacts: hotels, tourism, restaurants and retail, the visitor economy. And this is especially important for me and for downtown businesses who represent a significant part of our city's economic vibrancy and are closest to the venue. We've seen the excitement generated in each city on this tour, and it's our turn now. We want to make sure that those visiting have a great time and that they're able to return to Toronto, and that our Toronto residents have an opportunity to catch the excitement and have all the information and reassurance that they need, that they can also enjoy it and still get to where they need to go. And we are working to make sure that this spotlight also shines on our own local artists and culture makers and poets, the ones who have continually put Toronto on the map. We are committed to keeping Torontonians and visitors updated and safe as we get closer to the era's tour dates and throughout the concert period. And we'll keep learning over the course of those 2 weeks and with the hundreds and thousands of visitors that we will be welcoming for this year, and as we prepare to continue to ensure that Toronto is ready to host major events like this, and especially looking forward to 2026 and the FIFA World Cup. And I'm thrilled to welcome Taylor Swift and the world to our city, and we look forward to having a spectacular time. Thank you again, and I'll hand it back to Beth.
And the deputy mayor certainly is ready. I think she has the greatest collection of friendship bracelets already in the room. So now we're going to get through our presentation, and first off, to show the city's ready for it, is Joanna, our Executive Director of Toronto Emergency Management. Joanna?
Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for the opportunity to speak to you today. I want to start by saying Toronto Emergency Management has been working with partners across the city to prepare for this concert series, something that we're very excited to be hosting in the city of Toronto. And because of it, I want you to know that we're ready for it. For some context, Toronto Emergency Management is responsible for coordinating the city's preparations for and management of major events that occur in the city. This includes emergencies as well as large-scale events which require coordination across the city and our partners, like a major concert series such as the Eras. Each year we play a key role in preparations for and execution of events like Pride, Canada Day, and other major entertainment events, and when our teams are doing well, sports playoffs, and we're hoping one day to be preparing for a parade for the Stanley Cup. We plan and test our plans year-round, including activating the city's Emergency Operations Center to help coordinate the management of resources for these major events. For several months, Toronto Emergency Management has brought together city divisions, agencies and corporations, which include Transportation Services, All Emergency Services, TTC, and others, along with our external partners to coordinate operational plans for hosting this event. We also have built in our plans around a number of concurrent large events in the area, including a Scotiabank, including at the Scotiabank Arena, the Metro Toronto Convention Center, and the Exhibition Place, and elsewhere downtown Toronto on the concert dates. We have worked very closely with the representatives from these venues and events on every aspect of our planning to ensure the partners are closely coordinated. We are looped into each other's operations, and we have a real-time big picture, a view of everything that's taking place across Toronto. I want to assure you, those that live, work, play, and learn in Toronto that these plans will help us manage the crowds and traffic congestion, as well as help mitigate the impacts on those living or working in the area near the Rogers Centre and downtown. Public safety is our #1 priority. Our incredible team has worked closely across the City of Toronto with many partners to prepare for the large volume of visitors to the downtown and waterfront area on the concert dates. As we do for all major events, we will be activating our Emergency Operations Center on each of the concert dates to coordinate city services and responses as needed. We are ready, we are agile, and we are prepared to pivot as needed. We will be monitoring everything closely and will adapt our plans and responses as needed throughout the concert period. I want to offer my immense gratitude to my team for all their work to bring this together and all the partners and for the coordination and the preparation. Thank you to all of those partners for your collaboration. I will now hand it over to Barbara to speak about the city's traffic management plan.
Thank you, Joanna, and good afternoon, everyone. I feel like I've seen you all a lot this week. I'm really pleased to be here to share details about our traffic management measures that will be in place around the Rogers Center and the downtown area to help keep residents and visitors moving and ensure their safety. But before we get into specifics, I want to encourage residents and visitors to plan ahead and, if possible, take public transit, ride share, or bike share to and from the concert rather than driving. When we talk about planning ahead, a key aspect of that is checking your map apps so you know how long it will take you to your destination by whatever mode of transportation you're taking. We want to make sure that everyone arrives with plenty of time to get into the stadium, find their spot, swap friendship bracelets, and do that well before the show begins. However, it's important to reiterate that tens of thousands of people will be headed to the Rogers Center for their concerts. And that could have a big impact on your journey, especially if you're trying to drive downtown, which is why we're encouraging people to take transit, to ride share, or take alternative modes of transportation. So I'm going to walk you through the road restrictions that will be in effect on the concert dates. As Joanna mentioned, public safety is absolutely our top priority, and restricting traffic in and out of the area around the Rogers Center is a key part of ensuring the safety of tens of thousands of people arriving and departing from the stadium. The roads and the timings I'm going to speak about are all included in the fact sheet that we're sharing with media at this event, and that will be posted on the city's website today. So if you look at the big screen, the yellow area on the map is a limited activity zone where construction, utility cuts, and filming will be restricted during the concert period. We need to keep the roadways and sidewalks clear during this busier than usual period so residents and concertgoers can get to their destination with minimal disruption. Emergency work, for instance to repair a water main break, will be allowed within that zone. Turning to the red area, you will see on the map, this is a perimeter around the Rogers Center where road closures will be in effect on the concert dates. These road closures will be staged throughout the afternoon and into the evening. Now, we've made it a priority to plan those road closures in a way that will help ensure the safety of those headed to the Rogers Center for the concerts while also putting measures in place to mitigate the impacts on those living in the area. Local access will be maintained for residents and businesses within that perimeter, including condos in the Marriott Hotel. Again, all of these details will be shared on the city's website. We are planning to reopen all roads by 1 a.m. once crowds and traffic have dispersed following the shows. Additionally, there will be dedicated drop-off and pickup zones for parents and caregivers and for taxis and ride shares. Those are the blue arrows marked on the map on the screen. It's important to know that these areas are just for a quick pickup or drop-off. Drivers will not be able to park there because we need to keep everyone moving. There are also 2 accessible entry points to the Rogers Center at the intersection of Lakeshore Boulevard and Reese Street and on Blue Jays Way from Front Street. Our partners at the Rogers Center are working to ensure that ticket holders have that accessibility information handy before they head to the venue. In addition to the road closures during the concerts, we are implementing many tried and true traffic management measures to help maintain local traffic access for those living and working within the perimeter. Traffic agents, traffic control personnel, and Toronto Police Service will be stationed at access points to help ensure that residents and businesses within the perimeter can get to their buildings. We will also be adding extra staffing to our Traffic Operations Center to monitor traffic conditions, quickly spot any bottlenecks, and make real-time adjustments as needed to keep traffic moving outside of that red perimeter. Early next week, our partners at the Rogers Center will be distributing notices to residents in the nearby area, outlining the traffic management measures and other information, because it's really important to all of us that everyone knows what to expect and that we can minimize disruption as much as possible. As I mentioned earlier, if you are attending the concerts or heading into the perimeter for any reason, please take transit, walk, or cycle if you can. Our partners at the TTC and Metrolinx are planning additional service on their routes to get people to where they need to go as efficiently as possible. Union Station will have robust crowd management plans in place. And we're also encouraging people to consider using other transit stations, for instance, St. Andrew Station, to reduce the crowding at Union Station. Our partners at Bike Share Toronto are adding more bikes in the area and will have staff at docking stations to act as valets so you won't have any trouble docking a bike once you arrive. Now, this is far from the first time we as a city have hosted a major event that required road closures. Many of you will recall the Pope's visit for World Youth Day, the Pan Am Games, and the Raptors Victory Parade, just to name a few. As Joanna mentioned, we are adaptable, we are ready, we will monitor the traffic and crowd situation around each concert closely and adjust our traffic management plans as needed. That may mean changes to where the road closures are or the timing of them. It could mean that we need additional resources. We are prepared to do everything we can to ensure that people traveling in the area around the Rogers Center can do so safely and that it's as efficient as possible, and that we can do our best to manage the impacts on residents and businesses in the area at the same time. Once again, I really do want to reiterate the point. If you can, please take transit, walk or cycle to the shows or to any other events you are attending in the area around the Rogers Center, Scotiabank Arena, downtown, and the waterfront. With heavier than usual traffic, we want to make sure that everyone can get to Taylor Swift's shows or wherever else they need to be on time. I'd like to say a big thank you. As Joanna mentioned, the teams have been working very diligently and very collaboratively over the last couple of months. And I'd like to really thank my staff in Transportation Services, our partners at the TTC and Metrolinx and Toronto Police, our partners at the Rogers Center, and many others who have helped us prepare the traffic management plan for the Eras Tour. We are very excited to host Taylor Swift and so many of her fans over the coming weeks. And now I'm going to hand it over to Deputy Chief Pogue to speak to Toronto Police's plans for the concert period.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm joined by Superintendent Craig Young of Public Safety Operations and Inspector Stephen Prentice of Intelligence Services. In just 14 days, we will be welcoming thousands of Taylor Swift fans to our city. For what's shaping up to be an unforgettable 2 weeks, the excitement surrounding these concerts is undeniable, and for many fans, this will be a once-in-a-lifetime experience. We are committed to making sure that these events are not only memorable, but are safe for everyone. As you can imagine, an event of this scale requires a tremendous amount of planning and coordination. Public safety is our top priority, and we've been working closely with the Rogers Center, concert officials, the city, and our agency partners to ensure that every aspect of these concerts is managed smoothly from the moment fans arrive to the time they leave. Whether you're attending the Taylor Swift concerts or many of the other events happening in the city, like Raptors, Marlies, or Leaf Games, or the arts, we've developed comprehensive plans to enhance security and manage the influx of people in and around the downtown core. You can expect to see a significant and visible police presence throughout the concert week, including a significant number of officers deployed both inside and outside the venue to ensure that the safety of all of our attendees and to assist whenever needed. Our efforts go far beyond security alone. We are working closely with the Rogers Center, emergency services, and public transit authorities to coordinate everything from road closures to crowd management and emergency response plans. This joint effort will ensure that all aspects of security and logistics are covered. We understand that there may be some anxiety around events of this scale. That is why our intelligence teams are closely monitoring and are fully prepared to respond to any potential risk. This monitoring will continue throughout the lead-up of the concert and throughout the event days. While we can't go into operational specifics, I want to reassure everyone that we have robust systems in place to direct, assess, and respond to any emergency threats. We are confident that our comprehensive approach, combined with the support of our law enforcement and intelligence partners, will ensure that concerts proceed safely. Should any issues arise, we are prepared to take immediate action for the safety of everyone. The success of these concerts relies on the collective efforts of not just the police and our partners, but also concertgoers and other visitors to the city during this time. If you are attending the concerts or any other events, we encourage you to plan your route in advance and allow yourself extra time to get around. A few key things to keep in mind. There will be road closures and, of course, large crowds, so we highly recommend using public transit, as Barbara talked about. Remember to be patient while leaving your event, as large crowds will be exiting all at once. Take your time and be alert of your surroundings. For Swifties, we are strongly discouraging non-ticket holders from gathering outside the venue, as there will be no fan zones set up, and we want to keep those areas as clear as possible. And decide in advance where you will meet if a member of your group or family gets lost in the crowd. This is especially important for younger kids who may get caught up in the excitement. Finally, I'd like to remind everyone to remain aware of your surroundings, Follow instructions of police, security, and event staff, and most importantly, look out for one another. If you see anything unusual or concerning, don't hesitate to approach one of our officers. Ultimately, these concerts are about bringing people together to celebrate and enjoy world-class entertainment. We want fans to focus on having an amazing time, and we will handle the rest. Our city is thrilled to host these events, and we are confident that everyone will walk away with incredible memories. We are ready to ensure the safety and fun go hand in hand, and we are excited to see the city come alive during these events. Thank you, and now I'll hand this over to Pat. Thank you.
Thanks, Deputy Chief Pogue. My name is Pat Tobin. I'm the General Manager of Economic Development and Culture. Thank you all for being here today for this important briefing. As mentioned, Toronto is thrilled to host 6 shows for the Eras Tour of Taylor Swift coming up in November. We are among the top cities worldwide in terms of numbers of concerts, with only London, UK hosting more. This confirms the fact that my colleagues have spoken to, that Toronto is not just a global destination for stars and major events, but that this city has a practiced track record in delivering major events safely and effectively. I'll also note that Taylor Swift will be the first ever artist to perform 6 concerts at the Rogers Centre within a single tour, which is notable in and of itself. Joanna mentioned, as did Deputy Chief Pogue, that there are other events that will be taking place in the city concurrent to the Eras Tour. And this will certainly be in evident our ability to manage multiple major events during a single period. For the Economic Development and Culture Division of the city, we have 3 goals going into this set of concerts. First is to support the efforts towards public safety and mobility through the provision of information and some ambassadors I'll speak to. Secondly, as noted by Deputy Mayor Malik, maximize the economic opportunity of this concert coming in, not just for the hard-hit hospitality, cultural, and tourism sectors, but also to benefit Toronto's artists. And finally, we do want to that last point, raise the profile of Toronto's artists while global eyes are on Toronto during this tour. Now getting into some of the numbers. As reported by Destination Toronto a week ago and carried in the media, we are anticipating fully up to 500,000 people, 500,000 people coming into Toronto from outside for the Eras Tour. This includes a significant majority of the concert goers, the ticket holders, who will be coming from outside our city, but also the many parents and guardians and travel partners who will be accompanying the concert goers. With that visitation, and as reported last week by Destination Toronto, the economic impact numbers are very, very impressive. So in terms of total impact on gross domestic product, we're anticipating $282 million. That is driven by $152 million in direct spending. And notably, again, we expect of that spending, fully 93% will be dollars brought into this market by visitors coming here to Toronto, which is very, very important. It's also important for Toronto in terms of the period in which these concerts are going to be held, which is traditionally a bit of a shoulder or quieter season for our hotels and the hospitality industry more broadly. So just to recap on the economic impact, 3 key points I'd like you to take away. 1, this is a lot of visitors at 500,000. 2, they're each projected to spend a lot of money. The evidence coming out of other cities that the per capita spending for concert goers is above $1,300. To put that into context, the per capita spend for delegates to our major former tech industry event Collision was $1,228. So Swifties spend a lot, and they're coming from outside. So it's new money into our economy. So we are going to ensure that through a variety of efforts that I'll touch on now, that Toronto will be having its best day during the concert. That's my first Taylor Swift song title reference, and the staff who wrote the script will be sure that there's more to come. I do want to note the collaborative effort that everyone speaking to you today has underlined. We're working really closely with partners at Destination Toronto, Rogers, the Rogers Centre, to ensure that all the information is available to visitors to know how they can get about the city, but also what they can see and do while they're here in Toronto, and to find their way around to other venues in the Rogers Centre while they're here. And therefore be able to develop the memories and enjoy the music and the magic of Toronto evermore. Among those efforts, Destination Toronto has launched a scavenger hunt, which will enable people to discover commercial opportunities and cultural offerings around the city and move as well some of the economic activity out of the central downtown core. We are also working closely with our business improvement area associations, most notably Queen West, who will be doing a marketing campaign to coincide with the concerts to support retail in their area. And the Downtown Young BIA is also working closely with Sankofa Square to deliver some activations around concert time. So ensuring a safe but also incredibly enjoyable event is our end game in these efforts. The city is also deploying, to ensure a good experience for visitors, its Visitor Information Ambassador program. So these are volunteers that the City of Toronto recruits and trains to support large events. And if you think of Nuit Blanche, which just occurred, we deploy hundreds of these people in to ensure that people can easily wayfind and any issues that may arise as people visit our city are dealt with in a very effective manner. So up to 350 such volunteers, that's about 60 to 70 per concert day, will be deployed through those areas where we anticipate the greatest amount of pedestrian traffic. That includes the Taylor Swift Way site, as well as here Nathan Phillips Square, David Pico Square to our south, and we will also deploy information trailers that we use for visitor services so people can learn about the tourism amenities in the City of Toronto. To enhance further the experience of visitors and enable this economic opportunity to reach artists and cultural organizations, we are developing a number of activations and events to raise the profile of our artists and hopefully make them better known to some of our visitors. One of these is actually Taylor Swift Way itself. It's the ceremonial route that will connect where you are now at Nathan Phillips Square with the Rogers Centre. We're very grateful to Deputy Mayor Jennifer McKelvey for her City Council motion to bring this idea to life and the opportunity it's developed to work in partnership with Rogers, the Rogers Centre, and the Daily Bread Food Bank to maximize the charitable giving opportunity that has been a feature of this tour. We'll have more details, in fact, about those charitable activities tomorrow, so keep your eye out for a media advisory to that effect. In addition, dealing more directly with some of our arts and culture activations, I'll speak briefly about what we're referring to as the TO Poets Department. So in the spirit of Taylor Swift's latest album, which is, of course, the Tortured Poets Department, we'll be launching the TO Poets Department. This will be a series of free, family-friendly poetry activations, which we're inviting the public to participate in during the concert dates. This includes listening to roaming pop-up poets along Taylor Swift Way. We will also have a city block poetry installation at Nathan Phillips Square, nearby Campbell House to the west of us, and David Pico Square. These large blocks will each have poetry generated from a different word from Taylor Swift's lyrics so that people can create their own poems. And then finally, we will also have street talk stencils, and this will feature 6 Toronto poets who will stencil their work along the sidewalks of Taylor Swift Way. Notably, these initiatives were developed by the city's phenomenal poet laureate, Lillian Allen, working with the city's new youth poet laureate, Shahada Jack. Again, we're very, very thrilled to be hosting Taylor Swift and welcoming hundreds of thousands of visitors to this city. I would invite you, if you'd like to learn more about the various activations that will take place, to please visit the Destination Toronto website, where all of this information is contained. And finally, in closing, I'd really like to thank the dedicated team at Economic Development and Culture, many of whom are here today, who have been working very hard with their colleagues to ensure that not only we get the safety right, the mobility right, that we maximize the economic opportunity in support of Toronto's artists and arts organizations. So thank you to them. And with that, I will now hand it back to Beth Waldman.
To me. I just want to briefly just thank you for the presentations. It's very nice to see that our conversation on the TO Poets department has been able to yield this incredible activation and opportunity to showcase Toronto poets and artists and culture makers. And that is the spirit that has been running through all the preparations, is to make sure that Toronto is able to make the absolute most of this incredible opportunity. And so on behalf of myself and City Council, thank you so much to all of the city staff, to Toronto Police Service, TTC, and our many other partners for all of your hard work to bring these plans together so that fans can have a great time and shake it off at shows or at these other great events and activations taking place in Toronto at the same time. I also will give a special shout out to Destination Toronto as well for the work to pull together an incredible list of activities that are happening in the city over the next several weeks. We are so excited to be enchanted by Taylor Swift's Eras Tour, and we are ready for it. And we know all too well how important it is that Taylor and Swifties have a great experience in our city, that residents and those of us who call Toronto home have an incredible experience, while also making sure that we mitigate the impacts to all of us who are living, working, visiting, and traveling through our downtown. We want to make sure that everyone who is discovering Toronto for the first time returns, and we especially want to make sure that Taylor Swift and incredible artists like her see Toronto as a place to come back to again and again. I will now hand it back to Beth. Thank you very much.
So that is our presentation today to show that we are worthy of Toronto's reputation of welcoming the world. So we're open for questions. There's a microphone over there, and we're going to ask reporters to line up and ask their question, one follow-up. Please say your name and the name of your media outlet. But we also have some other partners here who can come up and answer questions should the need arise. We have the CEO of the TTC, Greg Percy. We have Carlton Grant, the Executive Director of Municipal Licensing and Standards. We have Ryan Duggan, the Director of Safety and Compliance with our Corporate Real Estate Management Division, which is also Union Station. We have Aviva Levy, the Associate Director at the Toronto Parking Authority. We have Laura Purdy, the General Manager of Exhibition Place. And we have Andrea Goldstein and Madeline Davidson from the communications team at Rogers Centre. For Rogers Centre, you can email them with your needs at media@rogerscentre.com. So now we will open up for your questions.
Hi, Rihanna Lim, Canadian Press. Question for Barbara. So last year, Beyonce came to Toronto, and that caused some gridlock, some traffic issues immediately following the show. What did the city learn from that experience, and how is it going to be different this time?
Thanks for the question. So in addition to, we are pretty agile and we try to learn from every experience in terms of, especially working with the Rogers Centre. We have a very close relationship with them. We share resources in terms of our traffic management centers and being able to really move on the fly. So part of it is having enough resources, sort of boots on the ground. We have our traffic agents, we'll have traffic control personnel, and then also understanding the timings of when people are going to be coming in and out and giving ourselves sufficient time to manage around that. We've also learned from a number of other cities, including Miami and Seattle and a number of others who were really helpful in early planning stages of sort of giving us an update on the flow of these events and what we can expect that was unusual or different from many other large events that they've managed. And then as we go through the concerts, you can be assured that this team, in addition to be able to pivot on the fly, will also be doing after actions so that we can get a little bit better each day.
Just a general security follow-up question. So I know you can't necessarily go into too many details about security planning, but can you provide some more insight about law enforcement collaboration? Are other law enforcement agencies taking part of this? Is Rogers hiring extra security?
Thank you so much for your question. I'll start by saying, we are ready. We are a world-class city, and we have the benefit of having incredible public safety experts who have been, extensively planning for these concerts and for all the competing events. And not only have you heard today how integrated we are with our partners, with the city, with Rogers Centre, and our other first responding partners as well, as transit and other areas of the city. But part of this planning has included connecting with other cities who have been part of the tour, certainly to learn from them. And what we've heard resoundingly is that everybody's had a wonderful time. The crowds, while they've been large, the crowds have been fantastic, and really everybody's just enjoyed the event. Thank you.
Another question. Oh, Thomas Dagg, CBC National News. Good afternoon. Another question for the Deputy Chief, specifically the ISIS-linked alleged mass murder plot in Vienna at the Eras Tour shows that were canceled in Vienna over the summer. Wondering how that has shaped any planning for you.
So, really with any event, large-scale event where there's a lot of people, our considerations are always around public safety. I mean, that is our priority as a policing organization. And certainly working with our intelligence partners as part of that. We are continuously monitoring any potential threats. There are no threats at this time, and we are adequately resourced and, again, well integrated with all of our partners to respond accordingly.
Thank you. And question for the Deputy Mayor, don't mean this as a criticism, honest question. In your view, when you think about everything the city is doing from transit to policing to everything additional services the city is sort of putting in place for these concerts, can you think of anyone else in the world the city would do so much for other than Taylor Swift?
So what we've seen, especially through the work that the city staff, agencies, and corporations have done, is working closely and connecting with other jurisdictions that have hosted the Eras Tour over the last 2 years. And what we've seen is that with proper preparation, there is an opportunity to make sure that the amount of folks who are coming through the cities, the way that they're being hosted, can be done well, and the kind of disruption can be mitigated through good planning, as well as an opportunity to maximize the economic and the kind of community excitement around these concert dates. And that's been a big piece of the work, the integrated work that the city has been doing in coordination across agencies and corporations and with our partners. So the first thing I would say is that we don't book major acts in this city, but we do want to be a city that attracts them. And it is a huge credit to Toronto to be hosting 6 concerts of a artist of the caliber that Taylor Swift is. As you also heard, this is not our first time preparing to host and manage large-scale events, and we want to continue to strengthen that capability. And what the city is putting forward and the plans that have been presented is us taking that on responsibly so that everyone who is moving through the city, and especially the hundreds of thousands of people who will be here enjoying the concerts, 50,000 people coming through the Rogers Centre every night, have a safe experience, are able to enjoy it, that everyone in the city is well communicated with around what their options are, taking transit, DDC, road closures, and that most of all, that visitors to the city return again, and that Taylor Swift sees Toronto as a major city that can't be missed on her tours for the future, and that Taylor Swift returns again as well, and that this continues to open the door for us to attract even more major events and artists.
Pat Tobin.
For the small C city of Toronto, for this local economy, this is an incredible event. 152 million direct spending, 282 in overall GDP. The revenues collected from taxes differ by order of government, and given the revenue tools available to it, the City of Toronto collects the lesser portion of that. The primary beneficiaries of tax, sales tax principally, will accrue to the provincial and federal government.
Do you expect them to trickle down some of those funds
Historically, on a case-by-case, concert-by-concert basis, there's not a framework for that, but they've been good partners, certainly in the promotion of this event, and there's integrated work among services. So.
Beatrice Baseman, CB24. The last time I can remember, I guess, an event of this size would be probably the Raptors parade, where you had people descending on this city to celebrate our team. Maybe Barbara, if you or the deputy mayor want to take this, what have we learned from the Raptors parade and just the volume of people who come down to the city on how to best manage that? What were the takeaways?
Well, I think again, as I mentioned earlier, is having a great plan, having an integrated plan, planning for every eventuality, having enough boots on the ground, and then having that relationship with the venue at the Rogers Centre to be able to share information and pivot quickly. I also think that it's really important to know that in our research with other cities, the Eras Tour has. It rolls out in cities a little bit differently than some of our other major events. And one of the things that's so remarkable about it is she has such a dedicated fan base, as I think everybody knows. But that group tends to come, and they come to the city, and they stay for a while. And as Pat said, they're very active and engaged in the local economy. And so that means that our planning has to expand a bit beyond the regular venue, and we have to be thinking about how we can support and encourage that fan base as they go to various venues. And so I think a lot of the offerings that have come through Destination Toronto and with the partnership at Economic Development and Culture will help to sort of spark that enthusiasm and keep that event going. But we have to then, you'll notice the perimeters is relatively significant, so we really need to plan for that and make sure that we can, again, have a safe experience for everyone.
Deputy Chief, obviously when you have that many people in an area, also it can pose a challenge for first responders to move around and get to people quickly if they need your help. Can you talk about, and you touched on the fact there's no known threat, at least to the City of Toronto with these concerts, but what kind of plans has Toronto Police put in place in terms of exit routes and entry points and staging areas within this zone, I guess, to make sure that you're there if people need you?
So again, encouraging everybody to take public transit so that we minimize the amount of vehicles that are in the area. And quite frankly, this is why I've encouraged people who are non-ticket holders to not come down to the area. There is no fan zone, and recognizing that the crowds will be large, we certainly want to minimize the amount of people that are there, and encouraging when the concert is over for people to disperse quickly, make their way out of the area, so that if we do have to respond to any sort of emergency, certainly that'll make it easier for us.
Other questions? All right, with that, I want to, sorry, is there a question?
Forgive me, I just got a question
ahead.
from my colleagues over
Sure.
at CTV News. I don't know if we have these numbers yet. Do we know at this point how much the traffic and policing measures will cost? And is that coming out of the City of Toronto's budgeting?
We do not have cost estimates available at this point in time, and we don't anticipate having them for safety and security reasons ahead of the concert.
Deputy Mayor Malik, how do you feel, I guess, about hotel fees and the rates just rising exponentially to the people coming to the city? A hotel room, for example, that would typically cost $250 is now costing people $2,000 to come visit.
Well, we know, and as was mentioned, this is a really important event and set of concerts, and our preparation is about, the impact to the visitor economy and the potential positive benefits and making sure that everyone has a really great experience. We know when there's major events in the city, as we get closer to it, as folks are kind of making sure that they get their plans in place, as last minute tickets are being sold as well, that the pressures on the available accommodations and all the other things that you need when you're visiting a city will go up. We've been in regular touch with the visitor economy, with the hotels and folks who are providing accommodations in the city. And the part of it is making sure that we're keeping a close eye on that, and also knowing that this is something that happens when major events are coming to the city, that there will be a rise in the cost of things like hotel rooms, and what we can do as a city to make sure that options around transit and transportation, around the other great amenities in the city, are also widely available and accessible to folks.
You have one more?
I've got a question from
Okay.
TTC. Maybe if
Okay.
someone from
Go ahead, Greg.
obviously during rush hour on a good day, we struggle with people packing into sardines on buses, streetcars, subway cars. Can you talk about some of the, I know you released your plan earlier this week, just talk about some of the plans and extra staffing levels, extra vehicles that you're putting on the road to get people around over the course of those 9 days.
Sure, and the answer is all of the above for sure. And so we've been planning, as everybody here has, for a long time. This is the pivot of, this is the big thing that we've all been working for. So it's exciting. So we've done looks at routes, and we've rerouted, and we've added service, and we've added equipment. We've got people on standby. And for all the good plans that you have in place, you have like 10 times more contingency plans. We too will be pivoting the night of. We will staff up every night of the concert so we can move quickly to accommodate. So we've done all that stuff, and we have every confidence, as everybody here has. They work so hard to get to here, is we'll be ready, and we'll put on as much service as we need, and we're ready to go. So this, I think the one word we all have to remember is it's supposed to be fun too. You know, so let's not forget that, and hard work will create good fun. So there's a lot of people here paying a lot of money to enjoy the moment. So, but the key word there is to have fun as well. So we want everyone to have fun. We want everyone to be safe, and we'll do our bit as everyone will. Thanks.
So, never in our wildest dreams did we think we'd be hosting 6 concerts of the Eras Tour, and we're thrilled that Taylor Swift has chosen Toronto for those concerts. Continue to check city social channels, our website, as well as all of our partner social channels and websites for the latest updates. And we are committed to keeping Torontonians and visitors safe and sound, and welcome hundreds of thousands of people to our city. So thanks everyone for being here today, and have a good one.